Since 2017, the Italian Wine Podcast has exploded and expects to hit 6 million listens by the end of July 2023. We're celebrating this success by recognizing those who have shared the journey with us and giving them the opportunity to contribute to the ongoing success of the shows. By buying a paper copy of the Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0 or making a donation to help the ongoing running costs, members of the international Italian wine community will be given the chance to nominate future guests and even enter a prize draw to have lunch with Stevie Kim and Professor Attilio Scienza. To find out more, visit us at italianwinepodcast.com. Chin chin!
Italian Wine Podcast is delighted to present a series of highlights from the 2022 Wine2wine Business Forum, focusing on wine communication and bringing together the most influential speakers in the sectors to discuss the hottest topics facing the wine industry today. Don't forget to tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central European Time or visit wine2wine.net for more information.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. My name is Åsa Johansson. I'm a Swedish wine journalist based in Tuscany, and today I'm going to moderate this talk about the Scandinavian markets. The goal today is to get a brief overview of the Scandinavian markets, take a look how the Italian wines are doing on each market, the importance of organic or sustainable certifications, and the ongoing trends today. And I'm here with our four representatives, starting from my left, your right. We have Mr. Denmark, Per Buhl from the wine importer Laudrup. And if someone is into soccer, it's half of the company is owned by Michael Laudrup, one of the very well-known football players. And then we have Mr. Norway, Marius Odland, wine journalist from the beginning, editor-in-chief that then went to the other side and became a wine importer from United Wine Group. And then we have Miss Sweden, Margareta Lundeberg from the wine importer Handpicked. And then behind me, I'm not going to try not to fall on these steps. We have Miss Finland, Nina Witikka from the wine importer Wine World that is part of a bigger group. But Nina will tell us more about this. So we're going to jump in directly to the information, and I'm going to let these wonderful speakers take the word. So we're going to start with Denmark, because as you know, the Scandinavian markets are, except for Denmark, but Norway, Sweden and Finland is heavily regulated by wine monopolies. So we're going to understand if there are any differences between the three monopolies in the different countries and how they work. But we're going to start with the most southern country, Denmark. So, Per, can you please give us an introduction to the Danish wine market today?
Yes, I can do that, certainly. Actually, Italian wines are very sexy in Denmark. It has been for many years. In the past, it was more wines from Chile and France and so on. But over the last 5 years, we have seen quite increase on Italian wines. It is, though, still when we talk price quality, lower wines in terms of the price compared to France. So if we look at the figures up there on the screen, you will see that Italy has 22% of the market in terms of volume, and France has 14%. But actually, France, when we look at the value, France is over Italy. So that means basically that France or French wines are sold at 50% more higher price than Italian wines. That goes with a lot of bag-in-box, which is basically re-exported. A lot of that to the German border or even to Sweden and other Nordic countries. So we would love to see some other trends in Denmark in respect to Italian wines in the future, instead of just bag-in-box and bulk wines. So when we look to the total wine into Denmark, it's about 200 million liters into Denmark, and 67% of that is red wine. But if we take the next slide, we will see that Italian wines, it's a lot more. It's even up to 80% on the next slide. So each Dane basically consume about 48 liters per year, which is a lot compared to the Southern Europe. But if you then take the Italian wines, it's 82% of the wine is red wine. So that is a lot of wine from this area, Ribasso, Amarone, and so on. And only 7 million liters are actually white wine. Again, there we would love to see a lot more white wines into Denmark.
And what about the distribution channels? Where is the wine sold in Denmark, since you don't have the monopoly?
We love not to have the monopoly.
Yeah, I know you do.
So in Denmark we have about 5,000 registered importers. So it's a huge market for wine importers. There's a lot of private people as well driving down to Garda Lake and taking a pallet in the car, going back again, and even down to Chianti Classico and having some agriturismo, and then go back with a lot of Chianti. But if we look at the top, then 92% is sold in supermarkets. 92%.
At which price point?
That's below 50 kroner per. So that's something like 6.5 to 7 euros per bottle. Our average is more than 10. What we sell to the restaurants and so on. So it's 92% is a high volume compared to you have 3 big supermarket chains in Denmark. It's Salling, it's Coop, and it's Menu, which is Dagrofa. So they stand for the bigger part. We love to be independent, like the rest of the Danish importers. We sell to the supermarkets as well, but only the top wines. We just had a discussion about that in the previous one, but we sell to supermarkets as well. We can sell a wine to a top restaurant, Michelin star, and the wine can be in the store the next day. People love to look at Vivino or any other app and then purchase the wine online or in the store next day. There's no barrier there.
And which are the strongest Italian regions, or the most sold Italian wines in Denmark? And is there a difference between restaurants and supermarkets?
Yeah, we see in the restaurants it's basically Piemonte. In Denmark we call Piemonte for the Italian Burgundy. It's very like Burgundy and Pinot Noir. We see a lot of Barolo. We call the 4 Bs with Barolo, Barbaresco, Barbera, and Brunello. That's a focus on the restaurant chain. But in respect to the retail, we see a lot more Amarone, Ribasso, and whatever they call it down here in terms of Amapasso and Amarone or whatever and that's why we have this big bulk. So they just find a label and sell it in the Danish supermarket. Unfortunately.
And you also told me when we were talking, you told me that your agency left Italy a little bit, and now you're going back to import more of Italian wine. So which regions will you focus on and why?
We see a lot more in terms of when we look at the future, it's Alto Adige. We look more at white wine as well. We see Alto Piemonte up in the mountains. Basically, our company, we have 135 different suppliers, 1,500 different wines from all over the world. We basically import cool climate wines. We see Tuscany coming, but again, Tuscany, not the warm district, not from the coast, but more up in the mountain. Some Lombardy as well in the future. That's where we are focusing. Actually, unfortunately, Italy is only number 6 in our market, in Laudrup. It used to be number 3 and 4, but we have had more focus on France and Spain, California lately, but due to the rate of exchange, we said next year, Italy will be our target.
Good to know, eh? And what about in the Scandinavian countries? The organic and sustainable certifications are very important. How is the situation in Denmark? Is it relevant to Danish customers, and is it important both in restaurants and in the supermarkets?
We find it a lot more relevant in the supermarkets. we see, of course, because again, there when you sit in a restaurant, you don't focus on the wine list if it's ecological or certified or even sustainable. Some restaurants are taking that out and even vegan, but it's more obvious in a supermarket. Or we see that online as well when we market sustainability and the green wave ecologic. We see a lot more customers online purchasing from us. And we have seen a trend in Italy as well. We have a great supplier, Il Boro, which is owned by Salvatore Ferragamo in Tuscany, a super Tuscan wine inside up in the mountain, has really taken off instead of Satigaya, Onalaya and all the other ones. It's nice to see these family-owned wineries really kicking off in Denmark. So sustainability is, and again, there, if you go back, we saw the bump of Chirac, if somebody can remember that, being as old as me, when he dropped the bomb in Murua down in New Zealand. The market of French wine in Denmark went from 62 to 26. And that was back in 85. We have seen several scandals in Italy as well, but people just continue drinking and purchasing Italian wines. So that can be Brunello scandal, or Amarone, or whatever. But that's nice to know that you have a big publicum, a lot of nice Danish purchasers in Denmark.
And if you would give a suggestion to an Italian producer to enter the Danish market today, 3 things. What to think about for Denmark?
Well, first of all, I would love that if you look at the Italian wineries, I would love that a son or a daughter takes over. So it's not as old-fashioned as it used to be. I've been traveling the last 50 years in Italy, visiting wineries, and I love when I see the next generation taking over, making cool climate wines, making wines up in the mountain, using new techniques like full bunches and new technique they have learned in Burgundy or in New Zealand. That's what we like. That's what our palate and especially all the sommeliers do love in the future. But of course, it's obvious that sustainability, ecologic, the stamp, not that you are converting and maybe next year, that's no good. It needs to be a stamp, it needs to be certified, and we need to see a track record over the last 3-5 years with ecologic wines.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Now we're going to go into the monopolies. And when I travel in Italy and talk to different producers, they say, oh, you arrived to Denmark and then there's a wall. And yesterday I talked to a person and we talked about Norway, and this producer said, oh, we don't call it Norway, we call it no way. Because it seems impossible to enter these markets. So we're going to try to figure out how they work, first of all. So Marius, I know you like to talk, but I have my clock here, so I'm going to control you. So could you just briefly explain how the Norwegian monopoly that is called Vinmonopolet, you need some wine to be able to pronounce that. Could you briefly explain how it works?
Yes, that will be a pleasure. There is several ways, not no way, to get into the Norwegian market. As you know, the state owns the monopoly, owns the monopoly shops, they hire the people. So in Norway, the importer, like we, have all the responsibility to import the wine and to keep it in stock, to do the distribution, everything. So we own all the goods. The monopoly, on the other side, decides what to buy through tenders, but also in other ways. So I'm thinking I'll go straight to the important part, telling you how to enter the market.
Listen up, everyone.
Tenders is, of course, important. It's a door opener. You get a lot of shops. But it's difficult for you as a producer to approach us with your wine unless there is a tender. So A good way would be to follow the tender list carefully, get information about all the tenders all the time. There is more than 100 tenders every year, so there is a possibility that the tenders will fit your wine production at some point. The tenders are very specific, and this is a frustration for many producers. But we know what we are doing, so we will find you. We will find the product that fits the description, and we will make contact.
So what you're saying is that, well, to work in the Scandinavian countries, you need to have an importer. Whether you work with the on-trade or off-trade, you need to have an importer. And I'm just trying to translate a little bit. What you're saying is that it's not the producers finding the importer, but it's the importer that finds the producer.
Yes, when it comes to tenders, that's the only way to do it.
And is it possible to work in Norway without winning a tender?
That's a very important question, because it is possible to get in without tenders. In Norway, we have this unique possibility to not only import whatever product we want to, but also to meet the monopoly at the monopoly fairs. These are fairs arranged all over the country every year. It used to be almost 100. After COVID, it's about 60, 70 fairs. Still quite a lot. It's all across the country. We invite all the monopoly shops to come to us, the importers, to taste our wine, and they can taste not only what they have in the shop, but also the products that we choose to register at the online system of the monopoly. The online system will be what is possible for the consumers to order through the web shop, but the products are not in the shop physically, unless the monopoly comes to these fairs, taste the wine, and make a decision to bring it to their local shop. So winning a tender, you get a basic listing, meaning the monopoly will choose a number of shops for distribution of your product. Getting a local listing means that one shop will buy your product, one product, and put it in their shop.
How big is the percentage that they can choose each store? Because each store can then choose a wine to put in that particular store that will not be in other monopoly stores. And how big percentage is that?
That's about 20%. And the shops are different sizes. So you have big shops, which means that 20% is a lot more than the smallest shops that can only add a few products. So going around all the country, inviting every shop, we will get local listings. And it's a big opportunity to build your brand without tenders. So you introduce your product, no tenders. The importer will take your product around the country, present it to all the shops, 340 shops, and you will get local listings from the shops that wants your product, and that's a matter of what kind of product it is, what is the price, what is the quality, the label, all the normal sales factors, sales elements when selling a wine.
Okay, now your time is finishing, Marius. So we want to know about the Italian wine in Norway.
Yeah.
What is going well and what is not?
Everything is going well, actually. It's the biggest country for wine in Norway. There's no big increase except for rosé wine, especially from Piedmont. Piedmont, Veneto, and Tuscany is the biggest regions for us. So it's going well, and yeah.
And which how important are the organic and sustainable certifications? What can you tell us about that?
Well, the monopolies in Scandinavia has a cooperation about the sustainability, both for the vineyards, the wine production, and packaging. As you can see, these are the requirements from the Norwegian monopoly. Not requirements like every product has to do this, but these are the future. These are the future requirements that the Scandinavian monopolies wants to implement for the nearest years to come, and it's really something they are focusing on. So basically, the consumers, they don't care as much, but since the monopoly are the ones who buys the wine, we need to care. We need to make sure that we have the focus on these requirements, because it makes it easier for us to sell the wine to the monopoly.
Yeah. Good answer, Marius. And last question, which trends do you see right now? What do you think the future, maybe future regions or future styles of Italian wine? And what about the packaging? Because I know that the monopolies are also very focused on the different types of packaging. What can you tell us about that?
Well, about the packaging, to start with that, it's the same focus, the sustainability focus for the Scandinavian monopolies, like lightweight bottles, screw cap, sorry about that, and sustainable packaging in general. As for trends, we see trends for natural wine, orange wine, pet nut, you call it on the least in Italy, and cool climate wines, like less sugar, more fruit, and fresh acidic wines, easy to drink. Yeah, I think that sum it up.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We're going to move on. We're going to move to Sweden, so the biggest of the Scandinavian countries. So Margareta, the monopolies work very closely to each other, so they have a common vision. They very often meet and have to create strategies together. But listening to Marius, is there any differences that you can see when it comes to the Swedish monopoly?
Yes, I think it's very interesting to listen to Marius, because I think there are a lot of differences between our monopoly countries. And I think Sweden, Finland and Norway, we are very different, and the monopoly works very differently. Of course, we have tenders. Actually, I think my work as importer started to be fun when I stopped working for the big tenders. Because there are other ways to enter Systembolaget, and you can do it with exclusive tenders, with temporary tenders, via order assortment, and of course restaurants. So I started 2005, that's 17 years ago, and from beginning I worked a lot trying to get the big tenders, but nowadays I feel much more confident and safe to not risk a lot of things with going for the big tenders, and I don't want to put my producer in that position either, because there are a lot of risk with these big tenders.
Which risks are there?
Because Systembolaget, they never guarantee any continuous listing. Even if you win the tender and they say probably you will sell about 100,000 liters, And maybe you sell 100,000 liter, but that is not enough because you are compared to other wines from other origins. And if you don't keep your position, then you will be delisted, and then you maybe sit in the market with 20, 30, 40,000 liters, and it's a little bit difficult to do that in the monopoly market. So for us, we are working with small and medium producer, and for us it's much better to work with more temporary tenders.
Yeah, and could you explain like the different, because there are different and different segments when it comes to these temporary listings. Could you explain just a little bit how it works?
Yes, I think it is about 2 years they started with these temporary tenders, and it is like a tender process. But instead of they don't request samples from all the requests they receive. They only ask for sample for maybe 10 to 15 importers, and the wine needs to have good score, and it has to be the kind of style they are looking for. They are much more particular in their criteria. But in another hand, it's a little bit more good volumes for our producers. It could be everything from 5,000 liters to 15,000 liters. And then they do still the blind tasting, but then of course they guarantee the volume, so that is very good. And then we have these exclusive listings, and that is not a tender process. That is, I go to the buyer and I present the wine, and I sell it, and they can decide themselves. And often the volume could be maybe, it could be from 36 bottles up to 5,000 bottles. And for us, that is good volume. And if we are working with producer, that is often good because we have restaurant sales and it's more stable volumes. And then sometimes we get this exclusive listing or temporary listings.
Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Mama Jumbo Shrimp.
And which trends do you see when it comes to Italian wine? And is there a difference between the on and off trade in Sweden?
Yes, I think so, definitely. Still, there are, like Denmark, all these appassimento styles. It's still very popular, but the trend is going down. And for restaurant, that is no. You don't come to the restaurant to sell an appassimento wine. And in the restaurant business, you want high acidity, you want fruit, you want minerality, you want volcanic, you want natural, you want pet nut. But in the monopoly, most of the wines are sold below 120 Swedish crown, 12 euro. And yes, still a lot of appassimento style. But I think Piemonte wine, Nebbiolo, Tuscany is really going well now in Sweden.
And there's when you look at the figures, the red wine from Italy has it's the biggest one on the market. It has 40% almost the red wine.
Yes.
But while the white wines are on 4th place, I think, or 5th even.
Something like that.
Yeah. If you in the future would focus on Italian white wines, what would you?
I love Italian white wine. I like Italian white wine maybe even more than red wine. No, I think there are so many fantastic regions with Marche, with Campania and Sicily, and there are so many good. And I think white wine from Italy could definitely be a trend, especially for the restaurants, for the good restaurants and sommeliers.
And we're going to take a look also at the organic and sustainable, because organic sales in Sweden stands for 25%.
Yes.
And now they're also focusing on other certifications. What do you think about that?
No, I think it's good. It's very good, because a few years ago they only focused on organic certification, and nowadays they are focusing in other certification like Equalitas, like Viva. And that is really good, I think, because now they are not only focusing in something that is not working very well in all regions. So they are focusing, of course, of sustainability, but also about packaging. So nowadays there is a label, it's called Sustainable Choice, and to get this label you need to have both environmental and climate impact reducing, and then promoting human rights in the industry. And then you need to be sure that the producer and us as an importer, we need to prove that the wine is done this way.
Yeah, because the sustainable choice is a new label. It came out in March this year, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the Swedish monopoly that has created this label, and they have created their own database with different certifications, and then they have added information about the CO2 footprint, for example, for packaging. But there's a lot of controversies regarding this because they have taken into consideration the production of the packaging and not the transportation, for example. And it's only for the fixed segment and it's not for the temporary listings or order segment. So there has actually been, they have reported this to the European Commission that will look into it if it's okay or not. So we will see what happens.
And there are still very few wines with this label. I think it's about 200.
Okay, so very small still. Yeah. What's the biggest challenge you think for Italian wine in Sweden? Difficult question.
I still think, Italian wine has 25% market share, so that is fantastic. And I think there are still room to get even higher because Italy, myself, I love Italy. It's like 20 countries. So there are many regions still not available. I think Basilicata, I think Friuli and Alto Adige has still a lot of opportunities, and all the new way to make wine and the natural wine, and so I think there are still a lot of good possibilities for Italian producer to even grow higher.
That's positive. Just the last question for you, Margareta, because Marius said it's not the producers finding us, it's us finding the producers. How do you find your producers?
A lot of networking. My producer I work with today, usually I ask them if they have someone they can recommend. So yes, reading magazine. I'm very open. Yes, it's.
And the fairs, are the fairs still important, like Italy, for example, for you?
I don't find new. If I find a producer on a fair, I have always some information before I have booked appointment before. So it's not like I'm just going and check. But I think fairs is nice, but I think it's less important today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. We're going to move to Finland with Nina. Nina, you're like Marius. You also like to talk a lot, so I will have to control you.
Okay.
So Nina, tell us a little bit about Finland. Finland is the smallest of the Scandinavian wine markets, and beer is still more popular than wine, or not?
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but no, wine is gaining, and actually Finland differs from Sweden and Norway in that sense that stronger beers can be sold on retail, so it's 5.5% and over in alcohol beverages that can be sold in the monopoly of alcohol. So yes, we do drink a lot of beer. We used to drink a lot more vodka than today. But wine is gaining. Historically, if we look on the last year, the whole market is this figure here is calculated in 100% alcohol, which is like the official way of counting it. So you see that the market is declining. Alco gained a lot of sales during the COVID pandemic. I've never seen so much bag-in-box wines being sold because, we are a very funny kind of people. We're very afraid of two things. When something happens, there was a worldwide trend of buying a lot of toilet paper. And then the second was, oh my God, now Alco shops are going to close. So everybody ran and bought a lot of wine. And what do you buy when you're a little insecure? You buy bag-in-box because it's 3 liters and then of course maybe a brand that I know, etc. So that was crazy, but it didn't tell anything of where we're going because now we're back to normal and the market is going down of several reasons, not heavily. There are a couple of departments that is growing, and what do we do in a declining market? We catch on to what is going well. On trade is almost back to normal. We look forward to a very good Christmas party season, which is very good for wine sales and also for Italian wine sales. We will again see something that's not good for us, but travel import. It's like the same as in Denmark and Sweden. Finns go over to Estonia to buy cheaper alcohol. And also during COVID, I mean, this is a worldwide trend. E-commerce is growing. People don't want to spend time in shops anymore. We also need to remember one thing is that wine is not a commodity in our country. The average Finn goes to an Alco shop less than once a month. And when they go, they spend 3 minutes on average. That includes the time that they're at the cashier. So they go in, grab what's on display or what they usually buy and go out. So our challenge is to get those people to know what they're going to buy beforehand, which means, click to the web shop, go and pick up the wines that we suggest from the shop, or to have that in mind when they go. But they need to secure because not every wine is in every shop shelf.
So how do you work with that communication? Because it's also a lot of regulation when it comes to alcoholic beverages in the Scandinavian countries. So how do you work with that communication?
We use a lot. I mean, Wine Finland, we first of all a little bit like Margareta here is that we don't wait for tenders. If there's something that we believe in, we put it into the sell-to-order assortment. Okay, that's not automatic. That's where we have to work it out, how to get people to get it. So we use a lot. We've done quite a good successful campaigns on social media and other platforms also. Always tactical, call to action, click, where to go, where to get the information. And that's been quite successful. We went from 2 listings when we started in 2016. Today we have 148, which many of them are sale-to-order items, and most of the wines that are in the regular assortment has gone through that. So we are not good at winning tenders, but we're good at finding something that people would love and to buy it again. So that's maybe one of our strong parts.
Yeah. And about Italy,
yeah,
what is going well and what could do better in Finland?
Do you want to look at the slide?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a little bit of what's going on. White wine is increasing, and there's a Riesling boom in Finland. I'll come back to that if we have time for it. Prosecco. Okay. The Prosecco boom started a couple of years back before COVID. And part of the reason of Prosecco boom is that, in my view and the analysis we've done, is that Prosecco is not just a wine. It's a beverage that also competes with other beverages. It competes with cider, ready-to-drinks, maybe beer, especially in the younger audience. And Prosecco started to gain, and social media and that scheme had a lot to do with that internationally. At the same time, because the younger generation, they look at maybe influencers from outside the Finnish border. The wine influencers in Finland are quite boring, so they don't look at the younger audience. But Prosecco, it's easier. It's easier than Cava. It's of course cheaper and easier than champagne. And everybody doesn't want to drink difficult things, especially if you go to a wedding and you have a beautiful champagne, and then your grandma goes, "It's too sour." It's too dry. So why drink Prosecco? It's much easier. And then, of course, small boom in champagne, and especially the rosé, and that is a part of the rosé trend, where Italy is not doing very well. But where are we doing well in the Finnish market? Let's go to the next one. Oh, let's do this one first. So bibs are big. It's very convenient. We hunt, we go to our summer places, we go boating, etc. So bag-in-box is easy to carry with. We're very practical people. And that's the part also why Tetra and PET is growing in Finland. And one of the reasons is quite funny, and this is directly from a consumer. When I buy a PET bottle or a Tetra, my neighbors don't hear how much wine I buy, because it doesn't say, it says boom, boom, boom instead of clear, clear, clear like the bottle does. So that's, one of the, it's very practical. Tetra is growing, and a couple of pretty big bulk wine produced also in there. PET is, Finland has been foregoing in that in the monopoly markets. The most sold Italian white wine is packed in a bib.
From which region is that?
I don't remember. I think it's Sicilian. It's the one with the black the octopus on it. Yeah, it's a Catarato from.
It's a Catarato. Okay, so we still have 2 minutes.
2 minutes? No.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have 2 minutes left, and then we're gonna have some questions.
Yeah. Italian wines has pretty good market shares in different price points. The biggest growing price category in Finland in wine is 12 to 15 euros. Still, there are big liters in under 10 euro, but the problem is that nowadays we're soon not able to sell wines under 10 euro because nobody's making money. You're not making money, we're not making money. The only one making money is the tax authorities and the monopoly, because their margin is the highest in Scandinavia. Oh, sorry if there's some alcohol people here. All wines, if we talk about Italy, the market share is 59% in 20 to 50 euros, and that explains the Veneto wines, the Ripasso and Amarone. It's very strong. There's big growth also in Piemonte, but it's in the higher price ranges. And the Appassimento is also popular, but not as strong as in Sweden, which has been a really crazy market for Appassimento style wines.
So if you would give a suggestion to an Italian producer to enter the Finnish market, 1 minute only, and then we're going to have time for questions, but just some advice, what to think about. It could be certifications, it could be
that's
price
very
point.
important. The sustainability and the certifications always have to be on the label. Then you get the green dot. Alco works a little differently. They have a goal in 2030 to have their own ways of working will be CO2 neutral, but also that at that time that we have, I think I have a small picture here of the green dots, of the green symbols, that most of the wines sold will be with the green symbol. And the green symbol is what you get if you have an organic certification, if you have a sustainable certification, if you're natural, if you have a lightweight bottle, vegan, biodynamic, or the newest one, which is CO2 neutral.
Perfect. Yes.
Very shortly.
Yes, very good, Nina. So we have few minutes for questions. We have one from Diletta. I can give you my microphone. Wait.
Thank you. I just have a question about the sparkling wines. We just talked about Prosecco for the Finnish market, but I really want to know a little bit about something, not only Prosecco sparkling wines from Italy, sparkling from other regions or other different varieties, probably from local Italian varieties. What about that? Is your market interested about something new or, unknown denomination? That is my question.
I can start. I can start from Sweden. So I think definitely there are interest for local varietals. I think it depends on the importer and the place you want to sell, and I think even a monopoly could be interested for a small listing in the temporary as a temporary listing. But definitely, I think there are many wine bars especially in the bigger cities, interested of local varietals and sparkling.
I can follow up about Norway. For the tenders in Norway, I'm sure there will be tenders for other appellations than Prosecco and Franciacorta and more like Durello or other less known. So because the monopoly, sorry about the loudness, the monopoly are actually launching tenders in all categories. It's not only about big volumes, it's small volumes, big volumes, low prices, high prices. So everything can happen.
And Denmark?
I can add a little bit on, especially for the wine festivals and the music festivals. We have seen quite a huge increase on the party bottles or the colored, I think it's called Bottega Gold or something. We've seen that a lot as well, Lambrusco and so on, in the marketplace when we have the big music festivals. So that's increasing a lot, and that's not ecological, unfortunately.
And Finland?
Yes, especially the on-trade. There is more demand for higher quality sparkling wines from Italy. We see, the Trento names, not to mention any. Also Altalanga, very interesting, Franciacorta. And also we see a small upboom. 3 years ago, impossible to sell magnums outside with champagne, but nowadays many of the restaurants pour from top quality Italian sparkling wines from magnums also, which we're very happy about. So it's not just Prosecco.
For Magnum. Now we have a problem with the price of the glass of Magnum and Jeroboam.
That is
increased
really
crazy.
And that is really, and it's so sad because now that we're finally getting there, and also the price increases and but this is something that we have to all live with. The problem is now, going a little back to that with the energy prices, and especially, Italy is especially hit with that. Is that we've had to increase prices on our bigger sellers in alcohol, and it's really how much can the consumer really take?
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yes, we have another question. Katarina, you want to ask a question?
Okay, so I'm Katarina Andersson. I think it was a bit in connection to the Diletta question. So so I've heard that there's for the future a lot of Piedmont, Burgundy style wines, fresh wines, Tuscany. So basically the future is a bit like the past, but I think a lot of people here, if there were a lot of smaller producers, would probably want to learn more about how a small producer in Italy could actually navigate if he would like to arrive to Sweden or to Norway or to Finland Denmark is easier. And then they have Odland, and so it's. But I think you talked a bit about it, but I think there could perhaps be a bit more explained if you would find them or if they could have a way to arrive to Scandinavia on their own. And the second part of the question is with the post-pandemic world and the costs are increasing, for the US, for import, it's becoming more and more of a problem with costs also for the importers. So do you see a change in that in Scandinavia with higher costs for you, which also would influence how you choose the producers and the price points and so forth?
Let me just start on Denmark then. We see all the small suppliers being a lot interested, at least to our company and to several other companies in the medium range. We see Valle d'Aosta being a future. We see Etna, like we talked about, all the volcanic areas, and we talk about only small family producers. Valtellina up in Lombardy is as well upcoming area for us. It has never been interested in the past, but now young players are coming on, and that's what especially all the sommeliers are asking about, and that's what we focus on with some of the best restaurants in the world in Copenhagen. So.
But there's no obvious. What I think what Katarina was asking is that there's no obvious way to arrive to you as an importer.
It is, but it depends what product you have. But if it's if you have something special, it's always a possibility to enter the Norwegian market, not with tenders, but with another strategy. And we have that strategy, not only my company, but also other importers, of course, that we can help you to enter the Norwegian market. But it needs to be a long-term strategy. You cannot rush it, and we need to choose the right time and place, and we need to you need to understand the Norwegian market. We need to understand you as a producer and your product. So definitely always interesting if the products are interesting.
Totally agree to that one. It is always interesting, I think, with new producer and new, different varietals, and so I never say no before I have checked the mail, checked the website, and have had a dialogue about it. So.
Yeah, I agree with everybody else here, and Wine World Finland. We work with many smaller producers who we know very well, also personally. We might buy a mixed pallet from somebody small, or then a truckload of bigger wineries if we have that listing in a monopoly. So it's. But of course, I mean, honestly, we get a lot of contacts. I mean, 25 emails per day from producers who wants to introduce themselves, and it's quite hard work. And you know, if we don't answer the email, it's not because we're rude. It's just that, you know,
you don't have enough time, right,
no,
to answer.
No, but so would love to. So send it again. Yeah.
The second question was about the higher prices. This will be then we have to finish. So do you see a change in what your choices? You heard Katarina's question. When it comes to the future after the pandemic, inflation, etc., will it change the way you work? Per?
Yes, indeed. Already now we see, you know, just from United States, the rate of exchange increased by 25%. So we increased the prices by 30 to 40%. Even from Europe, like you talked about, the glasses, it's difficult to get glass and cardboard and so on. So we have increased all our prices by between 8 and 10%, and people just continue purchasing. You know, people love wine, and especially from Italy. So, but of course, we need to then find some other suppliers with cheaper wines, like €2. That's important as well. It's easy to sell wine at 10, 20 euros, but it's all the smaller ones for our market at least.
Really short now, because then we have to finish.
We also suffer in Norway with higher transportation cost. Warehouse is going up, handling is going up, and distribution is going up. So I think we are on both sides. We are seeing expenses rising.
Do you agree, the two of you? Perfect. So we say thank you. We close here if there are no other questions. Otherwise, you can come up and talk personally or outside. So thank you for coming and listening. Thank you.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.